Joe, considering what happened at Brazil and to have this incident happening, just a week later, the MotoGP race director, stewards, and the FIM need to reevaluate how the races are officiated.
Originally, I was thinking no, but considering everything, not just with this incident, but throughout the years with the officiating of MotoGP, from how they allow drivers to be a lot more aggressive when it comes to contact, from Marc Marquez, Valentino Rossi, the difference in standards when it comes to officiating different riders. We know a lot of people have said it seems like MotoGP officials, if Fabio Quartararo does the slightest amount of little contact with anybody, he gets a big penalty, and other riders just seem to look away. I think the FIM MotoGP race officials need to really reconsider this because that was a really scary incident to see Pecco Bagnaia get launched high-sided the bike in front of the field, in front of the pack of riders on the first lap. Very dangerous situation, and he didn't even have the time to try to ride away, try to get up and start facing the field because when Alex Marquez went down during the Dutch TT, he right away knew he was in trouble. He tried to get up, face the oncoming traffic so he could see who's coming and which way he needed to move. Pecco was on the floor, and Brad Binder, nowhere to go, ran over his legs. He continued on racing, but he said that was one of the worst feelings ever. You don't want to run over a fellow racer, and this was just something that I think really took a lot of energy out because this is your championship leader. Thankfully, no serious injuries. He is potentially going to be back next race week. I know we'll talk more about that, but it was just really scary. And then to see Marco Beschecchi, he was favoring his leg. He somehow kept running. Disastrous start for the weekend for the Ducati teams. Overall, it was just something really, I think, MotoGP, FIM, they need to reevaluate whether it's having that starting area in Spain and other tracks a little further back so you don't have this big group coming to the first corner of the first lap to avoid these messes. Rider conduct, that could be a big reevaluation for the FIM MotoGP. They got a lot of work on hand.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work to do. It was unfortunate to see this incident happen, like I was saying, especially after the two fatalities we saw last week in the Moto 1000 event in Brazil, and hopefully all of these riders will be able to recover and get back on their feet as soon as possible. And moving on, Aprilia ended up sweeping the weekend with Alicia Spargo taking the win, and Maverick Vinales second with Jorge Martin in third. Martin is now 50 points behind Bagnaia, who's aiming to return for next weekend's race at Misano in Italy. If Bagnaia cannot make it back next weekend, he'll still be the points leader regardless of what happens. Even if Martin were to sweep the sprint and the feature race, what's going through the factory Ducati team this week?
I think right now they're just focused on making sure Pecco Bagnaia has a good recovery and is near 100% for next race weekend. This is not a situation worth rushing because he's still going to be the points leader where he ends up racing or not racing next race weekend. So if you're going to still be the points leader, you got to just, I think, take this with a side of caution and just, okay, make sure he's 100% because we still got a long season left for MotoGP. We're just a little past the halfway point. We're not talking about the last three races, and you're going to have potentially the points deficit cut down significantly more. I think at the end, we've seen from Jorge Martin, he has really good weekends. He has improved a lot compared to last year, where he was very inconsistent, crash while leading even. This year, he's a lot better. I just don't anticipate him to really close the gap that much in Misano. Yes, he's going to have a fast bike, but so will the other Ducati riders. I think he's going to still cut into the lead no matter what happens. But for Pecco Bagnaia, I don't think this is worth rushing it. If he could sit out and be 100% ready for the following race, I think he'll do it. Ducati, take care of their riders because at the end, they still have big control over this championship.
And one of the beauties about the point system and series like MotoGP and Formula One is, only a certain amount of riders score points. It's not like your other championships in the world where you sit out a race and then like effectively is going to kill your season. So Pecco Bagnaia could set out this next race and be like, this will be like our quote unquote DNF. Yeah, because even if he raced and then crashing out or not finishing the points, he's still not going to score anyway. So he could just take this as a DNF type of situation and return for the next race weekend. So I totally agree with you, Joe. I think Pecco and his team really need to focus on him getting 100%. If he's not filling up to it this weekend, I don't see any reason why he should be there. There's nothing wrong with sitting out, especially if he's still going to be the points leader, because who knows, second and third in the championship may, end up DNFing themselves. And then, points leader is going to remain the same. And then it wouldn't matter whether Pecco Bagnaia raced or not. And last year, Enea Bastianini had a career season, and this year he's had his worst season. A lot of speculation on his future. It's really crazy how one year you're on top of the world, and then the next year you've completely fallen off the mountain. If Jorge Martin continues his run for second place and even closes the gap to Bagnaia to make it a genuine points battle for the championship, do you think we could see a seat swap here?
It's going to be really interesting to see what they decide, because I feel Bastianini, from the beginning of the season, he was injured on the first race, no fault of his own. You come back, not exactly having that great of a season, but Pecco Bagnaia, he's been riding that bike all year long, so it's just one of those deals where the lack of seat time is not helping him out. When it comes to this crash, the injury, he's going to sit out. I think it'll be really premature to remove Enea Bastianini and swap seats. Yeah, Jorge Martin is making a really great season, doing the best in that independent team with the Ducati support. I think it's best just to keep it as is for 2024, give Bastianini that equal opportunity for next year with the new bike to show what he can do. I think the second season is going to be more critical for Bastianini